U.S. Department of Education said on Tuesday it would lay off nearly half its staff, a possible first step towards a total shutdown.
Nobody shows up to work because
the move comes as government agencies scramble to meet President Donald Trump's Thursday deadline to submit plans for a second round of mass layoffs. The terminations are part of what the department called in a press release its, quote, final mission, alluding to Trump's vow to eliminate the department.
President Trump understands that we'll be working with Congress.
Asked on Fox News whether the firings would lead to the department's dismantling, Secretary of Education Linda McMahon said yes, adding that doing so, quote, was the president's mandate. The Department of Education oversees $1.6 trillion in college loans, enforces civil rights laws in schools, and provides federal funding for needy districts. The department said affected employees will be placed on administrative leave starting on March 21st. Meanwhile, the union representing more than 2,800 department workers there vowed to fight what it called the draconian cuts. The layoffs are the latest step in Trump's sweeping effort to downsize the government. Led by billionaire Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE has cut more than 100,000 jobs across the 2.3 million-member federal civilian bureaucracy, frozen most foreign aid, and canceled thousands of programs and contracts. Dozens of lawsuits have been filed challenging the legality of those moves, and the blunt force approach has frustrated several White House officials and Republican lawmakers, some of whom have been confronted by angry constituents at town halls.
Ukraine on Tuesday agreed to accept a U.S. proposal for an immediate 30-day ceasefire in the conflict with Russia. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the agreement after more than 8 hours of talks between Ukrainian and U.S. officials in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Today, we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation.
Rubio said he would now take the offer to Moscow.
And we hope that they'll say yes to peace. The ball is now in their court.
The development comes after a stunning Oval Office shouting match between the presidents of the two countries.
you're gambling with World War III.
The rift had immediate repercussions for Ukraine. President Donald Trump canceled military support and ended crucial intelligence sharing. But as part of accepting the proposed ceasefire, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said Washington will resume sharing aid and intelligence with Kyiv.
And that's effective immediately.
Outside the White House, Trump said there would be a U.S. meeting with Russia to discuss the ceasefire plan soon.
Hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road. I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. If we can't, we just keep going on, and people are going to get killed, lots of people.
Is Zelensky invited back to the White House?
Sure, absolutely.
Later, Russia's foreign ministry said it didn't rule out contacts with U.S. representatives over the next several days, according to state news agency RIA. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who was in Saudi Arabia but did not participate in the talks, said the ceasefire was a positive proposal.
Вважаємо це позитивним.
He also said the two countries would work to finalize a minerals
Donald
agreement.
Trump's tariffs on imports of metals took effect Wednesday. They imposed 25% duties on shipments of steel and aluminum, with no countries accepted. The tariffs also hit hundreds of products made from the metals, from nuts and bolts to bulldozer blades and soda cans. Within hours, the EU fired back with $28 billion in reciprocal duties. Those tariffs will kick in from the start of next month. Canada is also mulling how to respond to the latest moves. Speaking Tuesday in Houston, Texas, Energy Minister Jonathan Wilkinson said Canada could limit sales of oil to the US.
But when we're talking about sort of non-tariff retaliation, it could be about restricting supply. It could be putting our own export duties on products. It could be energy and minerals. It could be broader than that.
Canada is the largest supplier of imported oil to the US, shipping some 4 million barrels per day. Wilkinson says a levy on US ethanol is another option being considered. In Australia, the government was disappointed not to win an exemption from the new tariffs, something Trump said last month he would seriously consider. However, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said it would be counterproductive for Australia to respond with tariffs of its own.
Tariffs and escalating trade tensions are a form of economic self-harm and a recipe for slower growth and higher inflation. They are paid by the consumers. This is why Australia will not be imposing reciprocal tariffs on the United States.
Other countries facing a significant hit from the Trump tariffs include Brazil, Mexico and South Korea. However, the new charges have been welcomed by a US Steel Industry Association, which said the measures would supercharge domestic production. Investors are less sure, with US stocks shedding more than $4 trillion in value over recent weeks amid concerns about the trade war. Donald Trump has defended his use of tariffs and dismissed concerns about market volatility sparked by the global trade turmoil. Speaking to a gathering of business leaders in Washington on Tuesday, the US president said his trade policy was already showing results.
We have car companies that are not building in Mexico now, they're building in the United States. Some of them, the plants were already started and they stopped construction, and now they're going to build in the United States. It was very unfair that they'd build in Mexico and sell them across the border with no tax, no nothing.
In the audience were around 100 CEOs, and some of them may be feeling growing unease. They've all seen some $4 trillion wiped off the value of US stocks in recent weeks, amid fears over the impact of the trade war. Businesses have also been concerned by the volatility of the tariffs, which have been variously imposed and delayed, raised and lowered. On Tuesday there was more of that, with turmoil over duties on Canadian metals. Early in the day, Trump said he would double levies to 50%. He was responding to a move by the Canadian province of Ontario to impose its own tariffs on electricity supplied to America. Hours later, Ontario dropped the move, and Trump said US duties would stick at 25%. The fresh day of turmoil drove another down day for stocks, outweighing glimmers of hope over a Ukraine ceasefire. More big firms, including retailer Kohl's, also warned that the darkening economic outlook was hitting sales. In the end, the Dow Jones Index closed the day down another 1%. But if that worries Trump, it didn't show on Tuesday.
The tariffs are having a tremendously positive impact. They will have, and they are having.
Trump said his tariffs would generate a lot of money for the US and could be raised even higher in the days ahead.
Greenland's pro-business opposition party won Tuesday's closely watched parliamentary election. Democratic beat out the incumbent left-wing coalition in a vote overshadowed by U.S. President Donald Trump's pledge to take control of the island, a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. Democratic finished just over 5 points ahead of the opposition Naleraq party, with nearly 30% of the vote. The former favors a slow approach to independence from Denmark, while the latter has pushed for a rapid break. Democratic's leader Jens Frederik Nielsen told reporters that, quote, "We don't want independence tomorrow. We want a good foundation." Now the party will try to form a governing coalition, says Democratic lawmaker Anna Wangenheim.
I'm overwhelmed and I'm very happy. Very happy. Our main focus will be the politics we've been elected for. Then we will have to talk to the other parties where they stand.
Greenland's population of just 57,000 has been caught up in a geopolitical race for dominance in the Arctic. Melting ice caps are making Arctic resources more accessible and opening new shipping routes. Both Russia and China have intensified military activity in the region. Since taking office in January, Trump has vowed to make the vast mineral-rich island part of the United States, saying it is vital to U.S. security interests.
One way or the other, we're going to get it.
Many Greenlanders were alarmed when Trump initially declined to rule out military force to take control of the territory, although he later softened his stance, saying he would respect the will of the local people and was ready to invest billions of dollars if they joined the U.S. That idea has been rejected by most Greenlanders. And on Monday, in the final debate before the election, leaders of the 5 parties currently in parliament unanimously said they did not trust the U.S. president. Meanwhile, Denmark's prime minister has said Greenland is not for sale, but made it clear that it is up to the local people to decide their future.